All right, DJs, in this video, I'm going to be going over 8 different levels of scratching so you can first identify what scratch level you're at, and then from there, you can determine what you need to do to advance to the next scratch level. Now, before we start, I'm no DMC champion or anything, so everything that I'm saying in this video is just based on my opinion. I'm mostly self-taught as far as scratching, just watching different videos and figuring out what works best. So I definitely feel like the things I'm going over in this video is what built my foundation to become, I would say, an intermediate scratcher. So with that said, let's get it started. Now, level 1 of scratching is going to be knowing your basic music theory and being able to do the baby scratch. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of DJs who can scratch really well without actually knowing basic music theory. However, I think to be really well-rounded, just as a musician, as a DJ, you are technically a musician. So I think it's important to know basic music theory, and it'll definitely help you as far as your phrasing, as far as your transitions, as far as mixing in general. And it'll also help with your scratching, especially if you're watching some of my scratch pattern breakdowns. So what do I mean when I say basic music theory? Essentially, you just want to know what a bar is. You want to know how many beats are in a bar as far as like a 4/4 time signature. Definitely don't have to worry about time signatures, but in general, you have 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4 beats in 1 bar. Do you know what a quarter note is? Those were all quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Definitely skip past this if you know all of this, but then you want to know what an 18th note is, and you also want to know what a 16th note is. Now, on top of that, also level 1 is going to be knowing how to do the baby scratch. And this is what I mean when I say knowing how to do the baby scratch. Now, with that example, all I'm essentially trying to show is that you don't want to just know how to go forward, back with the baby scratch. You want to be able to add a little bit of flavor to it. You want to be able to be a little bit creative. So being able to change speeds, just having control over your vinyl or your jog wheel. You definitely want to just practice getting your hands on the jog wheel or your vinyl and just going back and forward, practicing those different speeds and just making sure you have full control when you're doing the baby scratch. Now, that takes me right into level 2. That's gonna be actually dropping your vinyl or your jog wheel on time. And from here, I'm just gonna say vinyl, but dropping your vinyl on time. All right, so with that quick example, all I'm trying to show is that you're able to drop your vinyl on time. So whether that's on the 1, the 2, the 3, or the 4, you're able to drop it on that beat. So if you're having trouble dropping on time, here's one exercise that you can do to help you. All you're essentially going to start off with is the baby scratch, and you're just gonna do 3 baby scratches like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, gonna do 4 baby scratches. And then on that 5th one, you're gonna just practice dropping it on that downbeat. So that's gonna be on the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. So just like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, drop. So all you're trying to do here is you're practicing just dropping on time. I really don't recommend that you move forward with knowing any scratch techniques until you can drop that baby scratch or maybe the chirp scratch perfectly or as close to perfectly on time as possible, because scratching is inevitably going to be dependent on your ability to drop on time. Okay, so now I mentioned the chirp scratch. That's actually going to be level number 3. Level 3 is going to be knowing the chirp scratch. So learning how to do the chirp scratch and then combining that with the baby scratch, as well as being able to drop on time. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right, so there's a quick example of me just doing that baby scratch and combining it with the chirp scratch as well as dropping it on time. Now, if all 3 of these levels are easy for you, I would definitely say you have a pretty good foundation as far as scratching. If you're stuck on any of these first three, I would say you're more so of a beginner. However, just keep practicing, keep practicing. That's all I say. It took me a long time. I always say this, it took me a long time to really get comfortable learning how to scratch. So don't rush yourself, just practice as much as you can. So now we're gonna actually move on to level number 4. Now, everything from here, I mean, even everything I've said so far is my opinion, like I said, but some of these scratches that I'm gonna mention next, these are gonna be scratch techniques that you wanna learn, but there's really no specific level that you can put these scratches in. It's all gonna be dependent on you. Some of these scratches may be easier, some of them may be harder. So level 4 could really be level 5 could be 4, and vice versa, just dependent on what you're most comfortable with. However, these are the scratches that I'm personally gonna say are level 4. We have the transformer scratch, we have the slice, we have the stab, and we have the one-click flare. So level 4 is gonna be learning all of these different scratch techniques and being really comfortable with it. And also everything that came in levels 1, 2, 3, you still wanna, of course, be able to do those. So now you wanna be able to combine these new 4 from level 4, these new scratch techniques, you wanna be able to combine those with the baby, with the chirp, where it makes sense. So first, let me just go ahead and show you what these scratches are. First, we'll start with the transformer. Now we have the slice. You have the stab. So here's a slice, stab, slice, stab. Starting with the slice first, and then stab. So those sound really similar. I do a lot of slices when I'm scratching. They're very, very similar, however, they are different. And then now the one-click flare. And then here's a quick example of me just combining them a little bit. All right, so there's a quick example of me doing some of those scratches and putting them together. So now you're on level 4. I would say you're kind of moving away from your beginner scratch level, and now you're like creeping up to beginner plus into intermediate scratching. So now you want to just make sure that you have these scratches really down. Again, make sure you're able to combine them with some of the other scratches and always be practicing dropping on time. So now, if you don't know how to do these 4 scratches, there's tons and tons of tutorials, mine included, tons of others as well on YouTube. So just watch some of those tutorials. Make sure you're able to do them at different speeds. Make sure you have them clean and you really just feel like you have control doing them before you then move on to level number 5. So level number 5 is gonna be knowing how to do the crab scratch, the 2-click flare, the boomerang, really those 3. I mean, again, there's tons of other scratches that you can learn as far as scratches that are just out there in general. So it'll be dependent on how difficult they are for you. So here's the 2-click flare. Here's the boomerang scratch, which I'm honestly still practicing and I don't have this down whatsoever. So even you could say I'm still in part of level 5 trying to practice. And then the crab. All right, DJs, those are a few more intermediate scratches that you can learn as far as when you're going from that beginner level and now you're starting to creep up, in my opinion, to the intermediate level of scratching. So you wanna learn all of these. You can learn them by any DJ on YouTube. There's tons and tons and tons of tutorials. Again, I've covered these as well if you wanna check out some more of my videos. So now you've covered the basics from 1 through 3. Now we've covered some more of the intermediate scratches. And of course, there are other scratches such as the military scratch or other ones in general, the Autobahn. There's tons of scratch techniques. However, I think the next thing that's super important is gonna be level 6, which is gonna be being able to do clean cuts. So it doesn't matter or first, when I say clean cuts, I just mean that you're able to scratch and you're not having kind of like the sounds blended together and it sounds sloppy. You want everything to sound really clean, and that just means you have really, really good control over your crossfader hand and your vinyl hand or your jog wheel hand as well. So you just want to really, really practice getting everything super clean, because the more scratch techniques you learn, it really doesn't matter if you're just able to kind of do it. You want to have them clean and sounding really good. So when you are practicing things from level 4 or even the chirp scratch, you want your chirp scratch to be extremely clean, because if it's not, it's only going to be more difficult to get those more advanced scratches clean if you can't even do the chirp scratch clean. Okay, so level 6 is just going to be really, really practicing those clean cuts. And to practice that, you just really want to throw on a beat and just practice the same exact scratch over and over. Change the speed, maybe start at 70 BPM, then do 80, then do 90, and just really practice doing them at different speeds and make sure you're comfortable doing them at those speeds. And then once you are comfortable doing that, then you can kind of combine them or mix them with some other scratch techniques that makes sense, and make sure all of them sound clean together. That now takes me to level 7. And level 7 is going to be your speed. So I just mentioned that in level 6 as well. So speed just means you're able to do whatever scratch you want to do. So any scratch techniques that you're comfortable with, you can do them at 70 BPM, you can do them in double time at 70 or 80. So that's like doing really, really fast scratching. You can do them at 90, 100, 120. All I'm essentially saying is you're comfortable scratching at any BPM. That's all I essentially mean by speed. You don't want to get really comfortable at 87 BPM and then only be able to scratch at that BPM. You definitely want to bounce around, be able to do double time. And by double time, that means if you're at 70 BPM, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, something slow like that, you can scratch at this speed, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's basically like, as you can see over here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, but you're really scratching at this speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have two snaps on this hand every time I do one here. So that's essentially all I'm saying. And now finally, we have level 8. This is just going to be being able to scratch freely and naturally without thinking about it. You're just able to turn on your decks, whether that's vinyls, jog wheels, and you're not really thinking about what you're doing. You know all of your scratch techniques. You can obviously drop on time, and you can just flow between all of these different scratches no matter what speed you're at. You can change speeds at the drop of a dime, and you just really don't have to think about it. So for me, I'm to that point where I am able to do that. However, I'm still working on some of my speed. I'm still working on learning more scratch techniques in general. So in general, everything is going to be a journey. There's some things that you can take from level 2 that you might still be practicing with when you're at level 7 or 8. Like for instance, if you have your speed down, but you're still practicing dropping on time. So I say that to say, everything, you don't have to take this like word for word, level for level. It's kind of just like a guideline to show some of the different things that I learned throughout my scratch journey and what I think is important for you to learn and what's important for you to practice just to become a complete overall scratch DJ. Again, just my complete opinion. So that's gonna wrap up this video and all of the 8 levels. Definitely drop a comment if you do have any questions on what you need to practice next or how you're feeling about scratching in general. Now, if you did like this video, please press that subscribe button. Please press the like button. Also turn on that notification bell after you hit the subscribe button so you know the next time that I upload a video. And without further ado, I will catch y'all in the next one. That's not my outro. What do I say? See, it's been a minute since I made a video. What do I say? I will catch y'all on the next flight. Shout out to my mans who came up with this. I don't remember your name, but he was like, you should just say, I'll catch y'all on the next flight. And I've been saying it ever since. So catch y'all on the next flight.